We have always been taught the importance of living within a budget, staying out of debt, and making sure our income is greater than our expenses, right? Yet, today, our national debt is about $15 trillion. How did this happen? America borrowed that much? Even the American Revolution was fought with borrowed money. Okay, there's debt and there's deficit. So what's the difference? Today, everyone is talking about the debt ceiling. What does that mean? If you earn $30,000 a year and spend $40,000 a year, you have a deficit of $10,000 at the end of that year. And if you continue to spend $40,000 a year, but you only make $30,000 a year, that same deficit spending puts you in debt to the tune of $100,000. Now, when we're talking about the debt ceiling, we've got Congress to help us with that. Our representatives limit just how far the United States can go into debt by setting what is known as the debt ceiling, the point where we are supposed to stop borrowing money. In the past 10 years, the debt ceiling has been raised 10 times. In fact, Congress has never failed to raise the debt ceiling. Now let's take a look at the 14th Amendment, which says, "The validity of the public debt of the United States shall not be questioned." Not be questioned? What does that mean? Is there another way to borrow and lend money for economic development and prosperity? Maggie Miller says yes. Maggie is the founder of the DiscoverHope Fund, an international development organization that provides microloans to women in the developing world. She will share with us a very different approach to lending and creating abundance and prosperity.
Hi, Maggie. We're really happy that you could join us today.
I'm so appreciative to be here, Tamara, with you and this wonderful new show, Access News. So thank you for having me.
Great. Well, I was reading and doing a little homework before your visit today, and I was really just amazed with your passion and the success you've had helping women. How do you maintain that passion, and what drives you to continue?
Right. So thank you very much for saying that. My own personal mission is inspiring greatness in people. And I think that how you maintain that is you make a conscious effort to wake up and ground yourself in that passion, what's important to you, what you want to offer the world on this particular day of your life. And that, to me, is how I maintain that at the beginning of my day. The second way I think you maintain that is that you grow an amazing support system around you, and you find people who reflect that light for you, that joy for you, that bring you back to the meaning about what you do in your life. And so I've developed a support system of people that remind me about that every single day. And I'm always looking for new wonderful people as well.
I'm sure if you have a large group of people with that same passion, it's easy to follow.
Absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about the microloans. Okay. I know microloans really may be a new term for many of us, including myself. Can you take a few minutes and explain a little bit about what microloans are?
Sure. So microcredit loans essentially are giving access to credit to women in poverty, particularly in the developing world. Microcredit is a very large international concept, a tool for women in poverty. It means giving a loan of, on average, about $100 to $200 for women to initiate small businesses. And so that's really the basis of microcredit. Women borrow in groups worldwide that we call village banks, solidarity groups, community groups. These are, this is the social collateral, the unit that women borrow so that they can pay this money back as an aggregate group. And that function, that village bank function, works so beautifully worldwide that there's a 98% successful payback rate worldwide in microcredit. Discover Hope, our organization, has a 100% payback rate. So the responsibility and the ownership of that group, that village banking group, is just absolutely powerful.
Yeah, those statistics are amazing.
Thank you.
So the organization Discover Hope, how did that come to be in Peru?
So Discover Hope was born from what I call the still small voice. And I was working and living in San Diego. I was comfortable. I enjoyed my job, the people, the friends, the beaches, everything about San Diego. One day in the quietude of the morning, looking for inspiration and passion, I heard a personal call, which was, go see with other eyes. That call was half Spanish, actually. It said, go see con otros ojos. And at that time, I just kind of pushed it off to the side. I said, I'm not really sure what this means, but I spent the next 3 months really reflecting on what that meant for me. And as it unfolded for me, I realized that I needed to step outside of the boundaries of the United States to see myself from another perspective, to understand how I could be a change agent in this world. And that was just my own personal call. And 8 months later, I was on a plane flying high above the Andes Mountains and landed in this beautiful community, Cajamarca, Peru, northern Andes. And I spent the first 4 months really talking to women, really being ethnographic, anthropological, asking people, what do you want? What do you need? What would make your life different? And the women all said the same thing, no matter where they were, in the kitchens, the fields, the markets. They said, we want to build sustainable lives for our families. We don't want you to give us something and leave tomorrow. We want you to help us build sustainable futures. And one way for them was income generation through their own resourcefulness and intelligence and power.
I'm sure that's a very enlightening experience going through that process. You say to yourself, be the change that you want to see in the world. That's easier said than done, I can imagine. Is it easy?
Well, I actually think it is easy, and I'll tell you, here's my formula for being the change. So I feel that people say, be the change you wish to see in the world, and they think it's some esoteric comment, something that's unobtainable. And I think it's easy, and this is how it works. If we wake up every day and we decide to give our greatest strengths to the world that day, moment by moment by moment, if everyone woke up and made that decision, whether that means being an amazing mother in the morning, whether that means being a good listener at your job, whatever that would be on the continuum of life experiences, you gave your greatest strengths to it. And when you do that, people see that in you. They see it in your eyes, they see it in your spirit, in your fabric, who you are, how you hold yourself, how you express yourself in the world. And they want to help you magnify that. And so they start helping you, like this team of people I'm telling you about. And after a while, they start wanting it for themselves because they internally say, I want that for me. And they start bringing that to their own lives. And they attract people with what they're doing. And if you think about that, think about the ripple effect of people giving their greatest strengths and attracting that kind of goodness around them. I think that is transformation. I think that is how we change the world.
I am a huge believer in the law of attraction, so I agree with that. I'd like to go ahead and take a short break and then come back and talk more about your organization.
Wonderful.
Thanks, Tamara. Hi, I'm Don Miller. Liberty means freedom. Unrestrained power in the hands of the people can be just as dangerous as unchecked power in the hands of the government. James Madison addressed this concept when he said, "Liberty may be endangered by the abuses of liberty as well as the abuses of power." Even today, states' rights versus federal government rights are an ongoing issue. What has become to be known as Shays' Rebellion started when Daniel Shay, an American Revolutionary War veteran and farmer, was threatened with foreclosure and debtor's prison when he returned from fighting. Daniel started a rebellion that demonstrated to the powers that be that a strong national government was needed to create a uniform economic policy and protect property owners and their rights. Let's watch.
I hold it that a little rebellion now and then is a good thing. It is the medicine necessary for the sound health of government. God forbid that we should ever be 20 years without such a rebellion. Thomas Jefferson, January 30th, 1787.
When Thomas Jefferson wrote those words, he referred to an uprising of western Massachusetts farmers in the fall of 1786. Led by a former Continental Army captain, Daniel Shays, these angry farmers took control of the Springfield, Massachusetts County Courthouse from September 25th through the 28th. More hostilities followed. The problem was that politicians in Boston were behaving much like their former British masters, imposing unfair property and polling taxes, perverting the legal system, and capitalizing on an unstable currency. The result was that heroes who fought for independence were losing their farms and being thrown into debtor prison. The new country was at a critical moment in history. Would it go down the path of one more corrupt and malevolent government, or would something new and grand emerge? Eventually, Massachusetts militia put down Shays' rebellion. Shays and most of his men received amnesty, but no event better dramatized the need for a strong national government to ensure justice and domestic tranquility, the need for a new U.S. Constitution, and the need to spell out the rights of every citizen, to protect those rights always. In the summer of 1787, that new government would take form.
Is a little rebellion a good thing? Thomas Jefferson thought so. That's why he understood the need for a new constitution. Rebellions are to be taken seriously. To rebel means to oppose by force, refuse, resist, or defy an established government or authority. Have you ever rebelled? Do you think Daniel Shays was justified in his rebellion? The Shays Rebellion helped launch a new direction toward the governance of America. Do you agree? Share your opinions. Join the discussion at our website, accessnews.us. .us for United States. What do you think? For Access News, I'm Don Miller.
Welcome back from the break.
Thanks.
Before we were talking about microloans, and that was really interesting. I'd like for you to explain a little bit more about Microloan Plus. Can you talk about that a little?
Sure. So Microcredit Plus is the model that we've created that we use as an organization. Microcredit in general, we can consider the fishing pole to teach someone to fish for themselves. So here's access to credit. Now you can use this tool and fish for yourself. Microcredit Plus, the education side, is teaching someone how to use the fishing pole to maximize their resourcefulness and intelligence. So if you put a $100 bill in someone's hand who makes $2 a day, and you don't give them information around how to maximize that tool, I think that you've done a disservice. So the Microcredit Plus model means access to credit and access to education. Now to us, education means asking a woman, what do you need as a woman, an entrepreneur, and as a mother to maximize your life for your family? And the secret here for us as an organization is being quiet and listening. Too often in international development, we try to tell people what they need, but the real gift and the answer is in listening to people say what they need. So what that education side looks like in general, what women have asked for are business literacy, financial literacy, health education, math, regular literacy. They want to know how to read and write. They have first grade educations on average. Artisan and culinary and agriculture education. Last year we did 325 educational classes, and this year we'll do about 425 in addition to the microcredit loans. So that's Microcredit Plus, access to credit, access to education.
Oh, wow, that's really a wonderful opportunity, and your model is beautiful. It makes perfect sense.
Thank you.
It really makes me wonder why bigger banks don't do that. Why can't you teach that to Bank of America?
So the question about microcredit in the United States, which kind of to me refers to Bank of America, always comes up in conversations with other people and organizations. Microcredit, the concept in the United States is like comparing apples to oranges. A microcredit loan that we're talking about is $100, for example. If you're talking about microcredit in the United States, you're talking about $5,000 to $25,000 minimally. The other thing is that the village bank concept I told you about is posited around the idea that women stay in communities their entire lives. The trust is there. The community trust is there. We're a very mobile society, and you could give someone $5,000 and they could be gone the next day and you may never find them. Now that being said, there is microcredit going on in the United States with organizations such as Acción out of New York City, has field offices all over the United States. There is an Acción, Texas, actually, sub-office. The Grameen Bank is Grameen America, just unfolded an initiative in the Bronx in New York City. And so it does exist. It's just if someone's concentrating on a developing world model, trying to do the same thing in the United States is a totally different story.
Okay, I understand. So the money, the funds that you disperse, how do you do that? How do you make a decision on who gets those funds?
So what you're doing is you're promoting in the communities. We're in the communities all over in the northern Andes. You're promoting in the communities to women the idea of village banks. This is what microcredit is. This is how it works. This is how you'll pay back over time. We usually have 6-month cycles to pay back $100 loans, more or less. Giving them the rules about microcredit, letting them self-select their village banks. And you said, how do we choose them? Well, the big idea is that they would choose us. They would choose to be in a village bank. Taking on the ownership and responsibility to be in a village bank is a life-changing decision, and it's not for everybody. If you think in general of the concept of walking through a door of opportunity, We're all given those doors in our lives so many times. We don't always walk through those doors for various reasons. Sometimes there's fear around it. Sometimes it just doesn't feel right. Sometimes there's unknown circumstances for us. But you can never pressure someone to be in a village bank. A woman has to choose to want to take this route.
Really, I like that approach. You know, you shared some pictures with us, and I'd like to discuss those a little bit. Maybe you could explain the story behind each picture?
Sure, absolutely.
I believe we have the first photo.
So this is Manuela. She's one of our beautiful borrowers, and what I love about the picture is that she's holding this gorgeous head of lettuce that's just grown from the land. And the sign says, "I'm growing a business." She actually has the growth right there in her hand. And for me, that's just an image that reminds us about our core program component, which is growing micro businesses. The second picture, I Have Hope, for us is it sits in our offices. It's always a reminder of what we're actually trying to do is build a holistic model for a family, for a mother to create leadership and legacy for her family. So that picture is really important to me. And then the third picture is I'm making my family proud. What we're really trying to do is build that legacy. Sustainability for us doesn't mean a certain amount of money. It means giving power to people in a community to live the lives that they want to live. And that means helping them have a savings component so they have a nugget of money for themselves. You're making them bankable by creating a credit history for that woman. And you're growing her business, helping her grow her business so that she can take care of her family and educate her children. The first place they'll spend money is educating their children and bettering their homes.
Really, these are very inspiring pictures. Do you have anything else, Maggie, that you'd like to add regarding your organization?
Just to let people know, we're headquartered here out of Austin, although we do our work internationally. We have several events a year that we love to bring wonderful people around in the fall holiday time. If anyone wants to get involved or connected with our organization, our website's very easy. It's lendhope.org, L-E-N-D hope.org, and we'd love people to visit us and get connected.
Thank you, Maggie, so much for joining us here on Access News. Really feel inspired by your story. I hope to see you again.
Absolutely. Loved being here. I'm very inspired.
I'd like to thank our guest Maggie Miller for visiting us here at Access News. You may learn more about the work of Discover Hope at lendhope.org and at our website accessnews.us, where you may ask questions and share your comments and opinions. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. One beautiful thing about America is that we, the people, have power. The more we know, the better decisions we can make. For Access News, I'm Tamara, and that's Austin.
Executive producers Devorah Ben-Moshe, Ken Hurley. With funding from the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation through the Knight Community Information Challenge. Supported by the Austin Community Foundation, fostering philanthropy in Austin for 35 years. The Austin Community Foundation, for now and forever. Created and written by Devorah Ben-Moshe, Ken Hurley. Hosted by Tamara Suiter-Ocuto. Interpreter for Tamara Suiter-Ocuto, Jennifer Stoker. Segment host for A More Perfect Union, Don Miller. Voicing for Don Miller, Ken Hurley. Crew. Producer Linda Latowski, Director Editor Orlando Lopez, 3D Animation Doug Gray, Technical Director Carla Saldana, Director of Photography Brian Blake, Assistant to the Producer Susan Harper, Original Music Aaron Jake, Camera Doug Gray, Tim O'Neill, Ross Wilsey, Production Sound Mixer Aaron Jakes, Teleprompter Operator Brandon Taj Mora. Additional crew, photographers Eve Granick, Devore Ben Moshe, intern Brandon Taj Mora, additional interpreters Jacob Stacy, Tracy Hughley, Jessica Graves, website developed by Electric Leaf, Jonathan Braden, closed captioning provided by CPC, closed captioning and subtitle services. Civic education video segments provided by Ambrose Video Publishing. Special thanks to Susan Murnett, Lisa Williams, Mary Ben Ramsey, Monica Williams, Janice Kelklar, Paula Lang, Jeff Garvey. Claire Bugan, Bobby Guerrera, Russell Harvard, Cynthia Foss, Bill Stotesbury, Caitlin Mack, Yitzhak Ben Moshe, Bobby Nord, Kenneth Gladish.
Hi, I'm Tamara, host of Access News. Join me as I talk with renowned scientists, community advocates, powerful business leaders, and politicians from both sides of the aisle. Maggie Miller. Her passion translates to microloans that inspire greatness and creates opportunity. Join me each Sunday at 1 p.m. on KLRU Austin for Access News, hands-on news.